wait. Let's just breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
No bullshit.
We up, baby?
You are.
September 11th, 2020. We will be remembering September 11th today. I was there. I'll never forget it. I'm going to tell you about this flag. I've been carrying it around every day for 19 years. But we got a show first. No bullshit news hour. 100% no bullshit. 100% of the time. Thank you all. Thank you all. We surpassed 4 million downloads, making us the most listened to news hour in the state of Michigan. Hear that, Governor? Can't run forever.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys.
I also forgot to tell you 2 weeks ago was episode 100. We didn't even have a big celebration for that. Did you know
I thought I was episode 100.
Ooh, look at that. That's what you do to me, Rocky. Today, we will be bringing the news that you're not getting that you need. Crime in the protests of the street of Detroit, straight from the chief of police's mouth. The news on the skyscraper ripoff downtown. The federal corruption probe on City Hall. But first, joining us, my favorite Republican, Rocky Raskowski, retired United States Colonel, former Michigan House Majority Leader, Trump Campaign National Advisory Board member, chairman of the Oakland County Republican Party. In short, Malcolm YT. That's right, Malcolm White.
I've never been called that before.
Well, that's yours, man.
Always good to see you, Karen. Always good to see you, Charlie.
And my friend, put that on his CV, on his
friend of Karen Dumas.
Karen's like friends with every. I can't peg Karen. Can't peg you, Karen.
That's good.
Don't know it. Everybody wants to snuggle with Karen, but she's taken. It's your brains, Karen, and your really warm feet.
Wow.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm already starting to regret being on this show.
I regret it too, dude. And what's up with the fucking blazer, man? Colonel?
I thought I'd bring some culture to the show once in a while.
Listen, Skipper, you couldn't afford brass buttons? What's going on here?
No, these are solid.
And what's up with that haircut, man? It's like a mullet in the back. Like, what have you been eating?
It's an old army style haircut. It's called a Princeton. It was very popular in the 50s. I'm bringing it back.
Republicans.
I'm bringing it back.
Why do Republicans always want to go back to the 50s or 60s? I detect some type of,
because that's when Republicans were getting the support of the African American community, of the black community. Because if you remember, it was the Republicans that helped pass the Civil Rights Act that LBJ put on the table. It was the Democrats that barred blacks from being seated at the Democratic Convention in Chicago.
So what are you guys going to do this time? What are you doing this time around?
Yeah, those Mississippi Republicans.
Listen, I keep telling my friends in the African American community,
well practiced.
Walk away from the plantation of the Democratic Party.
Ooh,
come on!
You have other black friends? I thought I was your only one, Rocky.
Trust me, I have a lot of friends across every single aisle, every single ethnicity, racial, gender, everything.
Right.
We are a Big Ten party. We are the true Big Ten party.
Colonel, put a cork in it.
I'm not here to talk about
Colonel, put a cork in it. I got to get to some business, all right, before we just let you go off. As always, the No Bullshit News Hour Facebook Live is brought to you by American Coney Island, our dear friends at American Coney Island, Detroit's oldest family-run restaurant at the corner of Lafayette, Michigan Avenue. It's open. Come on down, and if you don't want to go out, you can always get a Coney kit sent to your door. Go to AmericanConeyIsland.com.
The best hot dogs with onions.
And it's true. And you know what, Rock? We're gonna send you a kit and a No Bullshit Fix the Shit T-shirt brought to you by our friend Luke Nowacki. Luke Nowacki, Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. Right? Where's his number? 248-663-4748 for rational financial advice. Let me tell you something, folks. Luke's latest client is my mother.
Hey.
My mother. That's like, you don't fuck with my mother. Like, I trust Luke for rational financial advice. She's 75 years old. She's got to get her shit together. She's thinking about investing in gold. And I'm like, Mom, talk to Luke. Lay it out. Your life's plans, your assets, your debts, what to do. If I'm referring my mother, believe me, I believe in the guy, Luke Nowacki, at 248-663-4748. Get rational and get your affairs in order. Hit me.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Inc.
Bravo. Well done.
All right, Rocky.
Yes.
You got a lot of Trump shit behind you. You got the blazer on. Let me just remind you of something.
You want me to take it off?
4 years ago, at the debates, the Republican debates at the Fox Theater in downtown Detroit, featuring the big orange orangutan Donald Trump, little Marco Rubio with the little hands, Lion Ted Cruz, and doddering John Kasich, you came up to me with a dossier. So it was opposition research on Donald Trump. You were peddling Donald Trump material, which was okay, but I had read all of it in the newspapers. What changed? Why are you for Trump now? I mean, what happened? You didn't like the guy.
No, I was for Trump. I was asking you if this is true and what you think of it. If you look at back when we went to the original debate, the first debate that we went to and where I actually saw you was in Cleveland. Do you remember that? I was there with JJ.
That's right. You guys were sitting around boozing it up.
We took a picture, and I was wearing a Trump button. And a lot has changed. He was a candidate that spoke no BS, so to speak. The other candidates were still a little bit more in the political mold of what a normal Republican was. And I think that a lot has changed in the last 4 years, where the Republican Party has gone a little bit more conservative populist, where we actually support the workers as well and support bringing back jobs back to back to the United States, and especially manufacturing back to Michigan from China, because China is becoming a national security threat. And I think that the cure for that disease is another 4 years of Donald Trump.
I don't.
So, Rocky, why are so many Republicans abandoning the party and going against Donald Trump? You served with former Governor Rick Snyder, some legislators. I mean,
wait a minute, Rick Snyder's a Republican?
John Kasich, Mark Fellauer.
Yeah. You're talking about folks like the Lincoln Project.
Yes.
Actually,
Friends
it
of the
may
show.
seem like there's more that are leaving the Republican Party, but that's not the case. Actually, Donald Trump has a larger Republican base than what Ronald Reagan had when he ran for his second nomination as president of the United States.
Yeah,
and
but what's the loyalty?
Yeah, just jump in on it, because
there's always people that are anti-loyal to
He'll talk
their
on the infinitum. You got to
candidate.
jump in on Rocky.
Listen, Joe Biden has more people that have left the Democratic Party during his nomination than Donald Trump has that have left the Republican Party.
Rocky,
there's a lot more money.
You can't do this. Look, I'm gonna cut him off. Cut him off.
He's down.
Rocky, we're gonna have a discussion. You're not gonna come on here and do all the talking points. It's no bullshit. Turn him back up. Rocky.
Yeah, you got to turn up the volume.
Rocky. Yeah, we turned you off for a minute. Now listen. The word is Trump might be quitting Michigan. He doesn't think maybe he can take it. Come on. What's going on there? Is he gonna not make Michigan on his itinerary for the rest of the political cycle?
I don't know what word you're listening to, but he was just in Michigan.
I know.
And he had an incredible amount of people that showed up.
Is that the last one?
In Freeland.
No masks.
Is that the last one?
No, people wore masks. Let's not go there. People were socially distancing.
Is that the last one? Is that his last trip to Michigan?
Oh, hell no. He's going to be here at least 3 to 4 more times. He made that very clear. He said that he's going to be here for John James. He's going to be here for candidates like Erica Saki and Paul Young, who are running for Congress. He'll be here.
Okay, so let's do this. So your boy's in the news. Trump's in the news for Bob Woodward's new book called Rage. And basically, the bluster out there is Trump lied or downplayed the COVID threat. I was up all night talking to liberal friends of mine, reporter friends of mine. I'm not sure it's a lie. But hey,
it's
Mark,
not a lie.
do we got some clips here?
Yeah, here's the audio.
We're gonna just get to the.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic. You just breathe the air. That's how it's passed. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus.
So, dude, did Trump cost us lives? Look, he's in February telling the public Oh, he's in February telling Bob Woodward, like, this is a nasty thing, man. It's 5 times more deadly than the flu. It's very strenuous. Then, at the end of the month, he's in South Carolina telling his supporters, very rabid supporters, that it's a hoax. And then in March, he's talking about he's downplaying it. I mean, is that a lie? Karen, is that a lie?
No.
Karen,
No,
is that a lie?
Let me tell you what he did do. Charlie, here's what he did do. He basically put in the travel ban to China at the end of January. He had FEMA and CDC and the NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, already coordinating in the middle of January, preparing for this. And we didn't know the outbreak, what the numbers were going to be. Everybody can look back, but hindsight is 2020, right? Everybody can look back. He actually did everything that the Democrats said that they would do if they were in office.
Hold on, Karen, was that a lie? Karen. Can anybody hear me on this thing?
I can hear you.
Karen.
Barely.
Is that a lie? Did he lie? Because I was up all night. Look, I turned off cable during COVID and everything, and I feel like I got to turn it back on now because it's the cycle. I wish I had it.
I'll get you a Fire Stick.
Was it a lie, Karen?
Charlie, is anything that Donald Trump says not a lie? Donald Trump, no, seriously, Rocky. I mean, he positioning at its best. I mean, you've got to look at the numbers. You've got to look at the fact that we do not have a federal protocol for responding to this. The growing numbers. I mean, his
stop. Did he lie?
No.
Karen, did he lie?
Yes.
How did he lie?
Charlie, I don't know.
Mark, did he lie?
I don't know if I'd characterize it as a lie. It's certainly misleading.
Misleading. Okay, maybe that's
well.
better.
I wanted to get there because yes, completely misleading. And when you call it a hoax, and people don't wear masks, they're following you, and you're saying something else in private.
When you say it's going to mysteriously disappear when it gets warmer in April, I mean, he knew better than that. And if he didn't know better than that...
No, he didn't know better than that.
Well, then that's even worse.
The projection from even Dr. Fauci and Dr. Brax basically said that this may be like the flu, and in the summer, it may evaporate.
But he knew it wasn't like the flu.
But how do you say a pandemic and a virus is going to evaporate? I mean, if he did not know, he certainly has access. Excuse me?
But he knew it wasn't like the flu
does in warmer temperatures.
The flu doesn't disappear.
Guys.
It spikes, but it doesn't disappear.
Guys, stop it. The whole fucking country, stop it. Like everybody's an epidemiologist. I just asked, was it a lie? Okay, no, it was misleading. Here's the issue. That's no leader. That's not a leader. A leader, a person that can speak to people, would say, look, this thing could be nasty. This is what I know. Do not panic. Prepare yourself. We may have to take some measures that you're not going to like. But we did not get that. We got mixed messages. I'm getting super confused about this guy and what this is really about. Because last week, Colonel, thank you for your service, an Iraq veteran, a brother of mine. My mom's a Republican. She's with Trump. I'm for Trump people. I'm for Biden people. I'm even for Marxists. That's what makes the country great. But last week, he was denigrating the military.
No, he wasn't.
Go ahead.
No, he wasn't.
Go ahead.
You're on the no BS News Hour.
Bullshit.
And you haven't read what the Atlantic Monthly just put out?
Go on.
The Atlantic Monthly just put out today that the article may have been incorrect.
Oh, on what? Because Fox News even went to some sources and verified much of that. So
No, not the comments. They didn't verify the comments. They verified that he didn't go, and it was because of weather. They verified the factual parts of the comment of the article. They didn't verify the accusations by these 4 alleged sources that said that he called the dead soldiers that died in war losers.
See, this is the oldest one in the book.
If someone would have said that, then they would have lost my support. I've seen this president do more for veterans than any other president in the United States since Ronald Reagan and FDR.
Well, I am going to say, I can hammer this guy for a lot of stuff. And I can, and we will. And when I'm calling my liberal friends and my relatives and fellow journalists, it starts to devolve into Melania and the heels and the Ukraine and the inauguration. And I'm like, no. If this is what I'm supposed to pay attention to this week, I want this thing locked down. Tell me what to think. So I know as a journalist what happens, how you discredit an article or research. You pick out a fact that would be wrong. And again, we all knew Trump's excuse was the weather, but nobody's disputing that these 4 alleged sources, because conservative media has also verified that he said these things.
No. They did not, Charlie. We're on the No BS News Hour.
Bullshit.
Don't give me BS.
Bullshit.
No one said, all 5 individuals that were there, including Bolton, have said he didn't say that. There was one person that has been silent, and that is General Kelly, who was the chief of staff at that time, who did go, who drove and gave the speech on behalf of the United States. And then the president went on to other ceremonies the next day in France. So don't give me that. And for the Atlantic to come out and say that the article may have been false is a big
Did they say false,
teller.
or there was some factual inaccuracies?
Well, what do you say? I'm sorry, Charlie.
No, they said that it may have been incorrect.
Might
To me, that's false.
Might need it. No, that's not how it works. How it works is if there's something incorrect in the story, you fix it. It's called a correction. Doesn't mean the whole story.
Yeah, well, they corrected it by stating that the story may have inconsistencies and problems with facts.
Karen, go ahead.
You can check it out.
Charlie, not Charlie, Rocky. But what do you say about the audio content from the Woodward interview? I mean, how do you dispel those things? That's something we're hearing. That's not somebody else's interpretation.
I don't see what was wrong with a lot of the things that he said. Listen, this guy is a counterpuncher. This guy speaks whatever is on top of his head in his mind.
And that's a scary thought.
He's not a typical politician. He's a refreshing breath of fresh air that we needed in Washington to clean out the swamp.
And we
have someone that's not lying, that's telling people the truth. And if he basically said, listen, I didn't want people to get freaked out about the coronavirus because he doesn't want the stock market to fall, I think that's in the best interest of the United States.
Well, I will say this. Again,
look at it now.
As the leader of a nation, your job indeed is to stop chaos and panic. But there's another way to do it.
Yeah.
It's to level with us. I'm sorry. That's where I rarely speak about national politics because I'm only an observer, but we're getting close now. But had Whitmer said that, if Whitmer was on tape saying just what Trump said, what would you be doing now? What would you be saying? Because I know what I'd be saying. Failure of leadership.
No, I'd be saying the same thing. Listen, I don't have a problem with what Governor Whitmer has done. I have a problem with how she institutes it. For example, in the state of Michigan, all right, we allow for kids to play football and basketball and high school sports. We allow for gyms to be open, but movie theaters can't be open. Now, if that's not the most ridiculous, no rhyme or reason, where does she get her facts to keep movie theaters closed?
Well,
I don't get it.
Here's my problem with it, and I agree. She has had some very confusing orders and edicts. My problem is, why does everybody have to say everything that this person has done has been right, this person has done has been wrong? I mean, Trump has done a lot of things wrong with the coronavirus.
As has Whitmer.
He's done a lot of things that were right. Here's, Mark, I got to tell you.
I feel like he's done very few things. I mean, whatever happened to prepare for the worst,
hope
hope for the best. Where the testing was a total failure. You can blame the CDC. You can blame whoever.
We have more testing than any country in the world, guys.
Dude, the lag time's too deep for it to be effective. Let me do this now. Let me move to Whitmer, who Thursday morning decides she's going to jump into the fray.
Yeah.
Oh, was that my cue?
That's your cue.
4
million people.
Was that this administration has been reckless and not particularly well informed. I've never believed that they read all the briefings that they're supposed to read. But it's a whole nother thing to be reckless or ignorant and to be deceptive and to have American lives lost because of it. They knew, they didn't tell us. And I think the biggest enemy of the state right now is the misinformation that's coming out of the head of state.
Wow.
I think the biggest threat to the American people is the American president right now.
Yeah, great. Great. We've got a governor that's gone rogue using the state payers' tax dollars and the podium of the governor's office to basically bring in politics. That's what she's doing.
Here's what I'm looking at, again, with leadership. You took the pulpit that you're renting from me, from us.
Yeah.
And those are prepared statements. You can see the script, looking at a teleprompter. I can't be sure because reporters aren't allowed in anymore to check out such details. But the country's so divided that I'm looking for a leader that's uniting in some way. She's also the national campaign co-chairperson for Biden. This isn't what I need because we all knew there was a toilet paper run. We knew 2 hours after she allowed the Democratic primary to go through that miraculously the first 2 cases show up and she shuts the whole state down. I'm not buying that, nor am I buying your reaction to the nursing home, your inaction to the nursing homes, your lack of testing, your lack of data, your lack of openness and honesty. I know she's to blame as well. And all we're doing is finding convenient places to go, friendly people in the media to project your message, and none of us are getting the whole truth. Where's the leadership?
It'll appear. I'll tell you what. I think the leadership will appear its ugly head, or at least its proper head, after the election. Once the election passes, hopefully calmer heads will prevail, and we'll get back to leading and putting people first instead of putting someone's political positioning and political power ahead of what's best for our country and our state.
But Rocky, that's what's happening at the federal level. That's what's happening at the state level. I mean, and as Charlie has said, this isn't about party. This isn't about politics. This is about who's doing what to represent the people that they represent, which cross party lines. And we don't necessarily see that at either level.
Wait a minute. Trump is the only president in a long time of Republicans and Democrats that has destroyed some of it. No, let's look at what Trump's done. He's actually destroyed some of the concepts of what the Republicans believed and said, let's look at it differently. For example, on free trade, he's brought a populist message on trade into the mainstream of the Republican Party. That's why you have Kasich leaving the Republican Party, because he wants to export more jobs to China. Trump wants more jobs in the U.S.
It didn't
So
work.
I hear what you're saying. And I by the way, you started, Charlie,
What?
You started the program with September 11th.
Yeah.
You know what I like? I like remembering September 12th, because on September 12th, the day after, there were no Republicans or Democrats. We were all Americans. We were all
Until September 14th.
still September 12th that week.
Unless you're a Muslim.
Let me-
And I don't think that it's legitimate. I think it's human nature for us to support each other. But then as time goes on, we all revert back to our political corners or our racial corners or our economic corners, and all of that is lost.
And let me remind you.
We'll take money out of politics.
Let me remind you about September 12th. There were no Democrats or Republicans because they were all hiding in bunkers. That was the day of the working person. That was the day of the firefighter and the cop and the nurse. That's who was running this shit. Everybody else was hiding.
Amen.
Never forget that. I long for those days. Those ugly days where we were actually people together. Now, in Michigan, we passed a amendment to the Constitution in 2018. It's going to be mail-in ballots, okay? We now know that Detroit, Janice Winfrey in there, can't count ballots. At issue is this. The mail-ins, the envelope, let's call it a receipt. That's written in a book. We got the receipt. Then the vote is counted. Let's call that the vote. The receipts, the number of receipts, envelopes, did not match the number of votes. There were more votes than received ballots. So, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. Nobody's going to stuff ballot boxes. But if Trump loses, you're in his inner circle. Will he go quietly, or are we going to have a long, drawn-out national hysteria where the worst thing is we no longer believe in our process? What's the plan? Do you believe? Because Trump already tried this before. Remember when he first got in?
Oh, he didn't try anything. Come on, Charlie.
Well, he did.
Trump is the president of the United States, and win or lose, if he wins, we've got another 4 years. If for some ungodly reason he loses, then we have Biden as the president.
Biden.
So that's how it is.
So we have it from you, a member of the inner circle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what if it takes a week to count them? Because that's the deal. Will he accept that and go quiet?
Well, listen, the president doesn't take the oath of office until January 21st of the following year, if you recall that. And by the way, if you recall back in 2000, you have the Gore-Bush counting Chads, hanging Chads, and all that in Miami-Dade County that basically took almost 3 weeks, where Olson had a Supreme Court case on who won that election.
I'm glad you brought that up because, the irregularities with the mail-in ballots, and look, 500,000 have been returned to the Secretary of State for return to sender, no longer lives at the address, or they're dead. That's at least 500,000 out there. I sent one back. But
there's a ton of them.
Michigan went to Trump by just under 11,000 votes. Florida
10,771.
Florida went to Bush by 500. It's really important. This could be if we lose faith in the process, then we've really lost ourselves. Worse than what's going on in the streets, I believe.
But did we lose faith in the process?
Who's funding this? Who's funding this faith in making us lose faith in the process? Is it China? Is it Russia? Is the Democratic National Committee?
Did you really put those three in the same group?
Yes, I did.
It's all the parties.
Yes, I did.
It's all the parties, because both of these parties, come on, Rocky, be honest, both of them are businesses. Mm-hmm. And these businesses answer to big business. They don't answer to us. We can't get into the process because of the big money. Isn't it true? The Republican Party's interested.
No, I think that's absolutely correct. But I will say that the Democratic Party tends to create unrest. They fund groups like Antifa. And Trump actually had a press conference where he had the DOJ. He asked the DOJ to investigate Antifa because you've got 13 members of Biden's inner circle, his staffers, funding Antifa and giving contributions to Antifa.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, who sent the ships to Iraq? Who sent you to Iraq? I mean, you know what I mean? I have no love.
I went to Somalia and Afghanistan.
Oh, right.
But that's all right.
My apologies. I went to Iraq. That's okay. But who did that?
But one time it was
not yet.
Okay.
Now they're back.
Okay. Wow.
We're coming back up, Rocky. There we go. We were down for a minute, Charlie.
But yeah, that's the new world. Hey, Rocky, are the Republicans dead?
I'll stop bringing up China or Russia because they're jamming the signal.
Thank you. Let's talk Oakland County. Last question. This was a Republican stronghold in Oakland County, which, if you're not from Michigan, sits above Wayne County, Detroit. It's the famous 8 Mile. Rocky, are the Republicans dead? Because I don't even know who's running to fill L. Brooks Patterson's seat. The Titan.
Mike Kowal's running. Former state
anybody else know
senator,
that?
one of Brooks's confidants, one of his deputies that Brooks went to revitalize Oakland County. There's it changes. Macomb County used to be hardcore Democratic. Now it's hardcore Republican. Livingston's hardcore Republican. In Oakland County, there's a lot of people that are moving into Oakland County, and they're bringing, instead of understanding why they're moving to Oakland County and what made Oakland County great, they're bringing their politics with them, and they're voting for Democrats. And then we're just basically willy-nilly with the money in Oakland County.
So I'm right. Like, you guys are starting to die away. He left the bench.
It's a battle. I'm not saying we're dying away. It's a battle, and we're going to be hand to hand in the precincts. That's how bad it's going to be in Oakland County. Oakland County is ground zero for this election.
It really is. And Livingston.
Yeah.
And as the chair, Baraki, what's your strategy? I mean, how are you? Because I do hear people that are not so party loyal. They're actually looking for somebody that's going to do something to make a difference in their quality of life, regardless of whether or not they're a Republican or a Democrat. I hear a lot of people that are fearful on the Democratic side that this Biden-Harris ticket may duplicate Hillary Clinton's bid. So, everybody's not happy with the options. What's your strategy?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, Karen. And what our strategy is, we're going to focus on specific precincts where we can make an impact, where we can bring our voters out and appeal to the independents and the conservative left or the conservative, the right-leaning left, if there is such a thing, to come back to the Republican Party or support the Republicans. These are people that do not want to defund the police. These are people that do not want to pay $2,000 extra in property taxes to pay for transit for a bunch of empty buses. These are people that are looking to educate their kids and make sure that their streets are safe and that the government's out of their pocketbooks.
That doesn't sound like a strategy. That sounded like talking points.
Like I said, we're going to be in precincts. I'm not going to lay out which precincts we're going to be in, but we're going to be campaigning specifically in precincts.
I want to make sure I'm home when you're there in the precinct. I want to make sure I'm there when I actually see a Republican in Oakland County working for my vote. Because I'm telling you right now.
Charlie, we're not going to be knocking on your door. Trust me.
That's right.
We're not knocking on your door.
Are you going to come knocking on mine?
I would.
I made a breaking news announcement months ago that I'm an independent, and somebody come convince me for my vote. Forget about Trump, not happening. Biden, not happening. Hey, the libertarians never even called me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Charlie, you live in Ferndale.
No, I don't. You got that wrong.
For a Republican to win in Ferndale, they'd have to make water into wine and all kinds of other stuff. They'd have to run as a Democrat. Come on, let's be honest.
I don't live in Ferndale, but that's okay. Now listen.
I thought you did.
Now see, there you go. And I thought the Atlantic was just doing a correction, but no, they're admitting it's all false.
Fake news.
So the fake news.
All right, I'm going to look up where you live once we're done.
Okay, listen, the rant that's coming up next is brought to you by ADR Consultants. It's COVID, man. Let's just go like this. You got a project going on, your house, you can't get it finished. Something like that. Something as small as that. How to deal with City Hall, how to deal with the contractors. You call ADR. You building an apartment complex and the mayor's jamming you up, you call ADR. If you're a public safety outfit and you're looking for technology, shot spotter, this kind of stuff, you call ADR. If you're looking to get your process tight, get your job done, and get it done on time and on budget, you call ADR. You call Barry Ellentuck at ADR. Honest, ethical, smart. I'm serious. My kitchen's done. I had to get some stuff done, and it's done. And a lot of people can't get stuff done.
Call ADR.
248-318-9424 for a consultation. ADR Consultants, get the job done. 248-318-9424. Not kidding. I told you people, I don't hawk stuff I don't use. I did Manscaped, I used it. Yaldo, I went there.
Unfortunately, you used it here.
I did, and I never cleaned up the pubs.
And on camera, no less.
It was a big hit.
Gross.
Big hit. They sold out. So here's the thing. Right here. See this? Here's the thing about it, Rocky, about COVID and these emergency orders and all this, and like you're saying, the conflicting emergency orders by the governor. Here's the deal. I'm at the hardware store the other day looking over tape measures, see? And there's a guy in the same aisle wanting to look over the tape measures too. And he's wearing a surgical mask, and that's good, but it's tucked under his chin like a paper bathing thong. Not so good. Worse, the guy's like right up on me. I mean like right up on me. Like he's getting ready to mount a baby alpaca at the county fair. So this bothers me. I don't know the guy. I don't live with him. He's endangering me, bro. But management isn't going to compel him. They don't need the trouble. And there are no health inspectors around. So what are you going to do? I'll tell you what you do.
Walk away.
No, you don't. You turn around and you point 6 feet of yellow ribbon square at the guy's chest. That's what you do. And he gets the message and he apologizes and you both laugh. Because the guy doesn't know what 6 feet looks like. He doesn't own a tape measure yet, remember? And that's the thing. Nobody knows
Hey,
what.
Charlie.
Yeah. You're interrupting my rant.
Was this a hardware store in Pleasant Ridge?
No, it wasn't in Pleasant Ridge. Wrong again. Wrong again.
You're the feds, Rocky.
You're never filling in on this show, Rocky. Accuracy above all.
Yeah. I nailed that one.
All right.
So what do you do?
Nobody knows what 6 feet is, and every day fewer people seem to care. The pandemic response has become a muddled stew of conflicting governmental guidelines, selfish behavior from the citizens, and a governor who insists on holding on to power to control the social behavior of people who don't seem to want to be controlled.
Unlock Michigan.
Governor Whitmer and her Public Health Brain Trust, who kept Michigan in a state of emergency since March, like to quote the CDC's golden rules as justification. And what are those? And believe me, it takes a minute to find this shit. A, wear a mask in public settings. B, stay at least 6 feet from other people who are not from your household in both indoor and outdoor spaces. That's including the mask. But who's really doing that? So I decided to check, and I took my tape measure around for a couple of days, and it turns out almost nobody is, and we all know it. Consider the homeless guy who came up to my window for $1. He didn't have on a mask, so I pull out the measuring tape. I put a paper dollar right here in the little slot at the end on that steel tip right there. And I ask him, can you please back up 5 feet, bro? Right? I'm not going to throw a wadded bill at the guy, am I? I mean, he deserves dignity. He's a human. Now, some school districts have in-person classes 5 days a week. Some are fully online. My daughter goes half-time. There's no rhyme, no reason, no statewide response. The governor kicked the can on that one. Again, see, president, governors, blah, 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 blah. So I drive the carpool sometimes. 4 teenage girls in a car. Ay, ay, ay. 6 feet of distance is an impossibility. 3 of their parents.
Take one in the trunk.
Get in the back with the dog. I hear you. Dig. 3 of their parents work in healthcare, around sick people. So what are you going to do? At a downtown restaurant, I saw some union guys come in for lunch. They're wearing masks. That's good. That's the law. And then it's time to eat. And they take their masks off. That's allowed by the emergency order, too. But now they're just a foot apart, breathing, chewing and burping on one another. Hey, they're blue collar. But I assume they don't share a household. So how does that work? There's the postal carrier hand delivering the mail, the bus stop commuters and their oxygen tanks, the skate park punks and their youthful disdain for authority, God bless them, the dogmen of the dog run, the drive-through window worker at Arby's. Huh? That's not 6 feet. Nobody's doing the 72 inches thing. Half the time, the governor herself doesn't appear to be 6 feet from her own sign interpreter at those press conferences that she's afraid to let the press attend. The curve is flattened. There's no surge in the hospitals. COVID deaths are way down, and people don't care so much anymore. I'm not saying it's not around, we can't be careful. But why can't we have democracy back and have the state legislature reclaim its constitutional role as a check and balance to executive power? Why can't Whitmer just issue emergency safety orders through the state health department, as happened in June, when her director finally figured out that nursing home workers should be tested? And he did it again yesterday when he laid down some rules for visiting the old folks outside the nursing homes. The governor's recently defended her decision by saying any attempt to strip away the powers of the governor during this crisis is irresponsible, dangerous, and foolish. But the thing is, they're not her powers. They're emergency powers. And they lapse.
That's correct.
And they lapse when the emergency is over. And if this is still a crisis, then why are the casinos open?
Charlie, you're right. Absolutely. That's why people need to get out and sign Unlock Michigan petitions this week, because we're going to be collecting them and turning them into Secretary of State so that we get Unlock Michigan, get the legislature back involved in the decision-making process with the governor.
What should it look like, though, Rocky? I mean, we don't have a national protocol. What should Michigan look like? Because I do think that it's backwards.
No. We do have we do have a national protocol, and I'm going to fight back on that. We have a national protocol on specific CDC guidelines and on the basic, overwhelming, overarching amount that we buy to keep in reserves, that FEMA keeps in reserves and the NIH keeps in reserves. But each state, remember, we're a United States. We have the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, and each state, each governor has to put in their own protocols. They get direction from the administration. They still speak with Governor Whitmer speaks to the administration. She still speaks to FEMA, and she still gets guidance. So the governor should actually include the legislature in the decision-making process, and it should be transparent. I'm tired of Whitmer talking about how transparent she is when she's neither.
Absolutely.
She's not transparent.
Look,
and she's not governing.
You got all that.
I completely agree with Charlie.
You got all that Trump mumbo jumbo behind you. You got a nice blazer on, but I agree. Transparency.
That's it.
I'm not a Republican. Everybody knows that, and I'm not a Democrat, right? And I don't think
you're an enigma.
I'm the majority of this country. And I don't think people on the hard left should be called progressives. Progressive is something you accomplish. It's not a political title. You're the hard left. There's the hard right. I want competency. I want openness. I want a plan. I will follow it. There is a pandemic. This is, like Trump said, a very deadly flu. I want one consistent plan, and I want somebody to have the balls to do it. As you started off with your rant earlier, brother, you said, oh, well, the masks and then the no masks, and then, it's mumbo jumbo. We've never had anything on the jails, nothing on the prisons, nothing on the nursing homes of any substance. And you just told me it's science, and none of us get it. Not buying it. Mark?
Amen.
Well, it'd be nice if...
Mark's a libtard. Did you agree with that? Well, according to the Mail.
Oh, no, I know. Believe me, I know. I see it all the time from both sides. It would be nice if we didn't have to have any of these rules or regulations if people were just do what they should do, which is wear a mask and stay away from people. But
but also remember, Mark, it's hygiene too. People need to wash their hands, and there are so many people. What's that?
People are nasty. They don't wash their hands. If you're in a public restroom, they use the restroom and come out. You see people digging in their nose while they're driving. People are nasty, and that is the problem. They don't wash their hands, and they probably don't wash their behinds. They're nasty.
You know what, Karen? It's funny you say that. You got it in my head. Every time I take a dump, time I take a dump, I got Karen going through my head. I swear to God. I'm like, what would Karen think? How long should I watch this? Should I touch it with my elbow? I swear. It's like, I'm serious.
Good.
It happened.
Everybody should. Just like people wearing gloves, and people keep asking me, Karen, let's meet for lunch. Let's meet for dinner. No, I'm not going out to eat right now. I'm going to eat at home and talk to you on the phone. But people have on latex gloves. Unless you change those gloves with every surface you touch, you are cross-contaminating. This is stuff that I've been thinking about, period. When I would go into the studio, I'd always sanitize it after the person before me, and I clean it. These are things we should be doing anyway. That's not being a germaphobe. That's just being clean.
So
nobody wants
Karen Dumas, the Howard Hughes of Detroit.
Whatever.
Here's the other problem I had. I got my hair cut the other day, and
this is great. You just turned everybody's mics down.
Well, it's
like a fucking Mark.
That's what's great about having.
He took executive order. He wants to talk, so he's like, I run the board. I'm chatting it up. It's my mic. I paid for this mic.
I've done it for you too. So, but I'm getting my hair cut the other day, and I'm talking to the lady who's doing it. And I'm just naturally COVID comes up because it affects every single person, which is probably Trump, a problem for Trump because it actually affects people's daily life. But anyway, I digress. So I was asking about, have you had people come in who don't want to wear masks? And she said, it's really funny. When this all started, we had a handful of people who came in and said they don't want to wear masks. You're still on private. This is a private business. It's up to them. They didn't want you in there unless you had a mask on. That's kind of what drove me nuts about all the mask things. And she said, ever since the mandate from the government, they haven't had one person like that. Almost like magically people are starting to listen to authority, which I don't necessarily believe, but it's almost that had to happen for people to listen
Mark,
to it.
I would also say
I know it's one anecdote, but I still think it's pretty apt.
Mark, I would have to say it's also, remember, the access to masks. We didn't have a lot of masks out there in the public, and now they're accessible anywhere and everywhere.
I think that's kind of crazy because anybody could have made a mask.
My
but
beef
you
was.
also have people that don't know how to wear a mask. You've got people that their nose is exposed, or like Charlie said, there's, what did you call it, a chin thong? What did you call it?
You can call it a chin thong.
And this is the other thing too. People are out in the open air with their mask on by themselves, like, or they're in their cars driving alone with their masks on.
I don't get
Those
that.
things can be counterproductive. Like, we do have an immune system that we have to protect. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Nobody knows what to do. Everybody's just guessing as they go along.
And again, I mean, yes, everybody. Remember, like Rocky said, there was a deficit of masks in the beginning, and nobody in government figured out how to prioritize them towards nursing homes.
And it really messed up the message too, because you tell us not to wear a mask, now you're telling us to wear a mask, because people, when things change as
I
quickly
agree. I think that was stupid.
well,
that was stupid.
You know, things have been changing really fast with how people understand the virus and what to do with it.
And again,
and that's really messing with people's minds.
And stop it with the upper echelons of the people that represent us in the state. Stop picking, you know, media to go on and drop the talking points. Because, well, the governor's saving lives. No, listen. The United States death rate on COVID is 59 per 100,000. Michigan's is 65 per 100,000. Well, we're leading neighboring states. We don't have neighboring states. We're surrounded by fucking frigid lakes where nobody comes to visit.
Yeah.
No, stop it. Data, right? Come on, just do the work. Now look, we're gonna do lightning round on the news here, folks. Then we're gonna get to a little 9/11 remembrance. But the lightning round on the news is brought to you by Hall Financial. Remember, they're at an all-time low, these mortgage rates. Guess what I did? You know that kitchen I just told you that I've been planning forever to redo? Guess how I did it?
How'd you do it?
Hall Financial. Look, you can pull some money, I'll get your kitchen done. You can get that house, right? You can pull a home equity loan. You can refi, right? They get the job done twice as fast as their competitors. That's why they have over 2,000 5-star reviews. Listen to me, folks. I keep telling you. I'm using them. I'm doing all right. Use them. And if you're not using them today, stick it on your fridge. Here's the number. 248-308-5000. I knew that. I just wanted to get it right.
Very simple.
Right. DavidHallMortgage.com. 248-308-5000. Listen, they can do a virtual appraisal. Then you have to come in with their fucking COVID shit and the mask all wrong, right? And they're like 4 feet away. You know what I mean? Like, get away, get away, get away. Look, you want to see how far? For those of you listening.
How far is that?
For those of you watching, if you're listening, too bad.
And you did measure me. We are 6 feet.
Is Mark 6 feet apart?
Yes, yeah, we are, believe it or not.
But we're not wearing the mask. Come
Are we supposed to?
Yeah, Hey, mannequin, can you get us both?
No, he can't, but my hand's holding it up. There it is. There's the end.
Get your fucking COVID hand off my tape measure.
Now you got to
I washed
clean.
it.
Now you got to clean the measuring tape.
Come on, Rocky.
All right, am I excused now?
No.
Don't leave us.
This is 6 feet. This is how far it is.
Don't leave us, Rocky.
I have to go.
Wait,
Go where?
I have important things to do.
Oh, wait.
And Rocky, don't forget.
No, you don't.
Rocky, don't forget. I'm a member of AEI. I have my conservative views too.
I know. I love it. I keep telling the people that across the board, my friends in the African American Black community, saying walk away from the Democratic Party. They offer nothing for you.
I'm not a party person. I want to know who's going to do. I have voted across party lines. I'm looking for the person that's going to make sense.
Karen's a fur person. Karen puts her furs in storage.
What did you say, Charlie?
You're a fur person. You put your minks in storage. Karen
Furs,
is
guns.
Let's see your gun. Let's see your gun, because you're in your room and it's not brandishing. Oh fuck. Pointing at the camera, Karen.
Nice.
No.
Nice.
What was that?
There's another one over there.
Oh, look at that. Karen, like, do not mess with Karen, Rocky. Oh, by the way, Hall Financial, NMLS, number 1467435. Real quick, let's do a quick rundown. Everybody gets one comment per news story. Chief Craig called me the other night to thank the No Bullshit News Hour and reach out to Detroit Red, our correspondent, for being the only people talking sense and backing him. There's no city council people backing him. There's no ministers, not the mayor, not the governor. He and the cops are on their own. And he said to tell Red, hey, Red, I know you're listening, brother. He said, quote, tell Red, wow, my man, my motherfucking man. Because here's the news. Detroit shootings have gone up at a higher percentage than Chicago. Chicago had 10 murders over Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend. We had 6. They had 40 shootings. We had 21. They're 4 times bigger. If we were Chicago, that'd be 24 murders and 85 shootings. That's why Detroit remains the most dangerous city. And when you keep stomping around doing your protesting and tearing shit up, Mrs. Jones in the neighborhood, a very rugged place, has no police. So, where's it at? Right here. So on the
Charlie, let me go first on that one.
Okay, I'm gonna give you this. Not on the 100-day anniversary of the marches, 100 days of marching, right?
Yep.
United States District Court Judge Lori Mickelson issued a 2-week temporary restraining order against the Detroit police that they were celebrating. Okay, the press likes that. We all like it, and you got it wrong. And the chief knows we know, and I know the chief's listening. Here's what the judge wrote. They got nothing. There's nothing to celebrate. Number 1, the judge ruled, for 14 days now, moratorium. Using striking weapons, including but not limited to batons and shields, chemical agents, including but not limited to tear gas or pepper spray, or rubber bullets, against any individual peacefully engaging in protest or demonstrations who does not pose a physical threat to the safety of the public or police.
Isn't that wrong anyway?
Here's my comment. You're taking the handcuffs off the prisoners and you're putting them on the police. And this is why I'm a Republican, because I do not believe in defunding
again,
police.
listen to the no bullshit news.
There's a comma here, right?
Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
Against any individual peacefully engaging in protest. That's already codified. You can't do that.
Yep.
Next one. No using chemical agents or sound cannons against persons peacefully engaging in protest or demonstrations without an audible warning and a reasonable amount of time to disperse. Meaning, after 14 days, it is okay to pepper people with tear gas and not give them a warning? They give them warnings. They gave them warnings for an hour. Next one. Placing a chokehold or ramming a vehicle on any individual attending a demonstration. Chokeholds are banned by the Detroit Police Department. Again, nothing. Finally, tightening the zip ties or handcuffs placed on any individual to the point that the restraints cause physical injury. You mean they were doing that before and they get to do it after? That is illegal. And finally, arresting any demonstrators en masse without probable cause. Hello? There's no win here.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because to me it feels like this is just, okay, we'll put it down in paper so you know this is how it always has been anyway.
Okay, and
pacify him, I suppose.
And I know what people do. They're gonna go, yeah, Rocky. Look, Rocky might be a Trump guy, but he's an accomplished person who's been around this planet. And Rocky thought, well, you handcuffed the police because it was misreported. It was done for drama.
Yep.
Believe me. You fuck around, the police are coming. Remember, I talk to people.
That's right.
So here's what we got. What do you guys make of this? Here's the question. That night, though, I'm not blaming the whole group, and I actually support what they're talking about in terms of justice and police retraining. We all know this. We need this, and money to get to the places it needs to be. Some asshole decided to spray paint the slave-owning, land-stealing General Alexander McComb downtown near the Book Cadillac Hotel. Can we put the picture up?
It should be up in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, let me.
Or not. It will be up. There it is.
Okay, there. Now, some are listening, some are watching. It says slave owner, which he did, because we didn't know that about Michigan, did we? That there were actually people in bondage here. And below it, it said, he took land from the Algonquin people, my people. And look what it says right there. It says land thief.
The F?
Land thief. Land thief?
Yikes.
It's thief, bro. It's spelled Thief.
Yeah.
Not THEIF. So the question, Rocky, is do you think these guys are from Harvard?
Yes.
D.
TIF. Oh, and I don't have the picture, but somebody do you have the next one? Somebody tried to edit it.
It's paint, and that's kind of hard to edit paint.
They tried to paint over
No,
it.
Charlie, you asked me a question. I said yes, but realistically, let me just add on to this and say that without Chief Craig, I don't know where Detroit would be. He's one of the best things we've got going in Southeast Michigan, and my hat's off, and I salute Chief Craig and all the men and women that have served in the DPD, DFD, and all the men and women that have served in the police and fire. They really deserve our hats off. Every branch of service, every career field has their good people and their bad people.
I support good police, right? And I'm a critic. I support police. I raise money for their widows, their orphans, right? Many of them are friends of mine. I don't like the bad ones at all. Having said that, I've criticized this department under the chief's stewardship roundly and with data. I disagree with their strategy. Crime has done shit. Data's been fudged. Having said that, I thoroughly support this guy being here now, what he's doing, and if you get rid of him, what are you going to replace him with?
Be careful what you wish for.
Right, he's conducting good leadership in terms of abuse.
He would run for mayor.
Right,
and I'm gonna encourage people to do this. There are a lot of community people, a lot of just people that are out that do support the chief and the police department, and they are becoming the silent majority. And so people from the outside are saying that, oh, our police are this and our chief is that. That's not true. And those who feel otherwise need to speak up and speak out in his support. Don't criticize in public.
But again, I'm sorry, like Trump, like Whitmer, like the chief, like many things. Investment opportunities, development downtown. You don't get a COVID mulligan. You don't get it. That doesn't mean that the job that's been accomplished is acceptable. But we're in a moment in time. And how this is being handled, I think I agree with. If they're abusive, I'm going to be there too. I've taken shit from the cops. I've had my ass beat. Right? When they ask you to disperse, disperse. That's a legal order. The judge even said it. Peaceful, lawful demonstrators. They're not dropping bombs on people not taking over the street. Keep on marching, man. Keep on marching. And march ass to fucking City Hall. Because I will tell you what. Next piece of news. There is a skyscraper in Chicago called One Chicago Square. It looks remarkably similar to the bullshit Dan Gilbert was giving us down at the Hudson site. Okay? It's going to be 980 feet tall. Sound familiar? It's going to have an observation deck. Sound familiar? They broke ground last year. They bought the property for $110 million. We gave it to Dan Gilbert for $1. Mm-hmm. They came up with financing of $850 million. We gave Dan Gilbert $650 million of public money, not including the interest, with no financing. Okay? This place is not built with public money as far as my research shows me so far. Why have they built 40 floors in 1 year? That includes a COVID shutdown. Why will this thing be done by 2022 and we got nothing downtown? Why did the brokest city in America give this billionaire money? Hey, protesters, stop with the games and do the math. Rocky, where are the Republicans on padding billionaires' pockets with the public money?
Well, we're not fans of picking winners or losers or passing out money like it's a welfare check to wealthy people. And we believe in giving a hand up. But there is one interesting thing that you didn't talk about. There's a difference between Detroit and Chicago. Chicago obviously has a very vibrant downtown and vibrant communities. There are arterial living areas of the city. And Detroit doesn't. We focused everything on that 3x3 square mile and forgotten the little neighborhoods, the streets off of Livernois, the streets off of 6 Mile, the streets off of 7 Mile. And that's what we need to really do, redevelop those areas if we're going to really have a vibrant Detroit.
And yet your boy Donald Trump allowed Dan Gilbert to basically write the downtown as an opportunity zone tax dodge. Your guy Trump made a rich guy richer.
I think, it doesn't go by my guy Trump.
Oh, now he's not your guy.
President. But actually, if you look at this goes way back to the Bush administration of 41 and even in the Clinton administration, where you looked at hub zones and redevelopment zones and tax credits.
Okay.
Rocky.
Karen.
What, Karen?
No, I'm just saying with the brownfield credits. I mean, Gilbert went. I'm saying if that was supposed to go for development that you're saying is needed in this city. Dan Gilbert didn't need that. He didn't need to take advantage of an opportunity zone, nor should he have been able to do so.
Wait a minute. Why shouldn't he?
Let me see.
If it's available to you and me, why isn't it available to him?
Because he wrote it.
We should be blind to who's got what, and we should be blind to color of skin.
Watch this. Listen, nobody else has gotten an opportunity zone tax credit like this. Dan Gilbert lobbied the state legislature. He got it. Nobody else got it. Give the freaking money back. Next, demolition news. The federal corruption probe continues. It's alive and well with my discussion with people in Washington. Take it to the bank. It's alive and well. I'll give you some words. Ongoing, subpoenas, interview, forensic analysis. This thing should be wrapped up by the end of winter, if not sooner. There's a civil side, fraud, and there's a criminal side, and there's a public corruption side. There's grand juries. When the mayor is in the middle of a collapse, financial collapse, in the brokest city in America, in a pandemic, he's asking you to tax your home for $250 million. Ask yourself what it's for. Is it to pay the feds back? These are called fraudulent claims. You have to pay back plus interest. Be aware. A couple things will happen. Biden will win. He'll take Duggan with him or Whitmer, and all this goes away because he who holds power holds power. 2, the feds hit next month. The feds hit after the election, screw some shit up here, or the feds don't move at all because part of the thought here is Detroit can't afford to pay back for the fraud. And if you don't think there's fraud, then why we had over 4 years of federal investigation? Why have we had convictions? Remember, the mayor told me on tape these contracts and prices were absolutely pre-negotiated. That's called collusion. So, Karen, I'm going to ask you. What do you would have to pay for Proposition N in the $250 million? Do you believe the mayor, and do you want to pay this?
No and no. And I also remember him saying that in making sure that those bids were predetermined, that he lost sleep over it. Very interesting consolation for somebody doing something that, quite frankly, is illegal. So $250 million additional dollars in proposal in? No, not at all. Not as a lifelong Detroiter, not as someone who pays an astronomical amount in taxes already, as well as insurance. The answer is no, which means that we need to think very strategically about how we vote in this upcoming election for several reasons. Like you said, Charlie, is he going? Is Whitmer going? What are we left with? What does that mean? Now you're going to make me start thinking Republican here. About it.
Oh, Jesus.
2 big thumbs up from Rocky.
But the head of the ticket's Trump, Karen.
That's all right.
Now I'm back.
That's all right. We invite you. We invite you to vote for President Trump. We invite you. We invite the entire African-American community to leave what. Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, so don't say that, because Rocky, they're black people that are Republicans, just like they're white people that are Democrats. So
exactly.
I don't think that there's
exactly, but Democrats, and Biden has made the comment that, what did he say? He said
you know what, though?
You're not a Democrat if you're not, or you're not.
Yeah, he got in trouble for that. But Biden, there's also an interview circulating from back from I think 1998 where he called black people savages. So people have to do their homework and decide who's the worst of the two. At this point, everything that they're doing is that's your opinion, but everything.
No, it's proven.
Everything that both of these parties and these candidates are doing is exploitative. It is.
Lesser of the two
Everything.
evils is still evil. Who's the fuck the libertarian candidate? Where are you, clowns?
Charlie,
I'll tell you
you.
what they're doing. They're busy
You.
mending their woolly sweaters and their bad haircuts. Get busy with the third party. Christ almighty. Listen, let's get out. I promise to keep it short. I want to just...
Yeah, I got to get going, man.
Okay, just stay here, Rock. Just listen to this for a second.
Don't leave us, Rocky.
I want to thank you for your
I
service.
need to go.
Rock. This flag here, it's very crispy and old. 9/11. Remember, we were all flying these. We all decided we meant something to each other. Here we go. It was November, cold. I'm driving on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. From Queens, my home, through Brooklyn, over the Brooklyn Bridge, to Ground Zero that I covered. And it was back-to-back traffic. And I saw this laying in the freeway. And I got out of my car, and I picked it up. And it's been in my car every day for the last 19 years. I shall never forget, and I shall never forget the moment when we all decided that we could fulfill the promise of this. We haven't gotten there. There's a lot of ugliness behind it. The promise is the most beautiful I know, and I will never forget it, or those who died. Those who know nobody's skin color, nobody's class, nobody's political affiliation. A firefighter from Squad 1, Brooklyn, got out of bed, his alarm went off, he made the bridge and 2 tunnels to get there, to run up into that building to meet his death. I'll never forget it. We can be this. A couple months later, I'm up on the Empire State Building, on the Needle, on the part outside with the glowing red aviation bulb, because that is a radio antenna. It needs to be tuned and maintained. The light bulb went out. I went out with the guy who has that contract, Tom Silliman, and we climbed up on it. And we put our legs over the crow's nest, and we're hanging in the wind, drinking a beer, looking down, way down at the end of the island at Ground Zero. It's really hazy, white light. And he looks to me, and he said, guy from Indiana, simple guy, salt of the earth, he says, why do they hate us? And when we reunite, we can fix ourselves. So I'm thinking today, Tom asked me, why do they hate us? I need to ask you all, why are we hating each other? We ought not to. We should fulfill this promise. And
That was beautiful, Charlie. I concur.
Thanks.
We need to stop being afraid of each other, too. Stop. And people always say, how do we connect? The first thing you can do is look the other person in the eye and speak. It is a tremendous barrier breaker.
And
Just
listen.
try it. Just try it.
For this whole hour, this No BS News Hour, if there was one worthwhile moment for being on this show, it's the last little comments that Charlie just made. Thank you.
What do you mean?
I thought it was your introduction.
Everything else was garbage. Everything else was garbage. And that last 2 minutes of your monologue and Karen's comments were heartwarming.
So look,
Now it's time for me to go.
Okay. And
You're
Hey,
dismissed,
let me
Rocky.
first
No,
say,
you're dismissed. No.
everybody needs to go on DonaldTrump.com, sign up, check out the president, or go to OaklandGOP.org, OaklandGOP.org, or DonaldTrump.com. Sign up, come on board, join us, and let's make America, or let's keep America great, like that sign says right there.
America's not great.
I just tried getting onto that Oakland County Republic. It says this page not found, bro.
It's not great.
It has
until
its problems.
Hey, you two. I think you already forgot what Charlie was talking about.
There we go.
It lasted 2 minutes. You guys are already yelling at each other.
No, Karen started it.
I love Rocky.
I love Karen.
Let me say this, though, but before we go.
Yeah.
It's also important not to let politics be divisive. Sure. I can disagree with you. That doesn't mean that I dislike you or that I disrespect you. That's the issue. People are like, oh, I hate Trump support. That's who Rocky supports. Rocky and I disagree on some things. Rocky is a brother to me. I don't dislike or disrespect him because we have different political views. We need to stop letting things like that be divisive. They should not be. Now, if he goes and joins the Klan, we'll have a different conversation. But until then,
that won't happen.
Right, content
That
of the
won't
character.
happen.
So as always, Hey, Rocky, really do appreciate it.
I love being on.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. See you next week. And remember, try to love one another.
Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breathe.